Hello and welcome to a spot of positivity. I'm Rosalie and I'm back for a little brightness to your day, hopefully, and a bit to mine. I'm going to have a sip of my tea because it's all about the tea. Look at that little bouquet of happy tea bags sticking out of my tea. No, it wasn't stirred, and there's a kind of a. There we go. Much better. Okay, so here we are. I apologize really for not being around for a while. I've had like a million things happen, and I've been justifiably non-videoing for a little while. But actually, my husband said to me, "You need to do some spot of positivity. I think it will be cathartic to you." So let's see if this is indeed cathartic. Um, as you see, I'm wearing lipstick. What a delight! What a delight! We don't go out, and when we do go out, we cover our face with a mask. And one of my main happy things to do when I go out, sounds ridiculous, is to wear a little lipstick because it's bright and it's happy, and I don't know, it's just a little happy statement. And I love wearing bright lipstick, especially. And when it's behind a mask, well, that's a bit extra work. I don't feel like doing my eyes, and I don't do much with my eyes. I probably need to, but anyway, on a little video, hey, you can wear lipstick. What a joy, and what a delight. And I'm actually enjoying my patterns around me. So I'm just going to show you my little coasters because I've got really cool coasters here. Kind of goes with my dress. And I'm sitting with this really wonderful pillow cushion thing that also has a wonderful pattern to it. So I love happy pops of color and pattern and all that kind of thing. And if anything is cathartic, it is that. So it's a lot of fun. So here we are. It is March and getting into springtime, and I know my North American friends have already changed their clocks. We don't do it for another 2 weeks. And then of course the sun is coming out earlier and all that kind of thing. It's a lot of fun. So I have had a funny last month and a half, quite dramatic, and I thought maybe I would take you through a little bit of my story and maybe a little bit more every day until we got it all done. But quite a big thing happened here. My son, who's was 15 at the time, had a bit of a flu. He was feeling kind of gross and throwing up and a few other things. He was kind of talking a bit of nonsense as well, which didn't alarm me overly much because my other kids used to do that sometimes when they were coming out of a flu, is they used to hallucinate and say some silly things. So that was happening for a day and a half, and then it wasn't quite better, but he'd only thrown up a couple times. And really, I don't have kids that get very sick very often, but he ended up on the Wednesday morning, I couldn't wake him up, which was quite big. I thought he's probably dehydrated, and give him a bit more to drink and all that kind of thing. So I was trying to give him a bit to drink, wake him up, and he wouldn't wake up. So we ended up rushing him to emergency, and he was actually then rushed to another hospital, a children's hospital, and he was in a diabetic coma, and quite high glucose levels and all kinds of stuff. And it's not something we have ever had before in our family or anything. I have one relative that has diabetes type 2, but that's not the hereditary kind. And this was presenting itself, and it's as diabetes type 1. So there we go, and that was that really, really weird morning. He was completely unconscious, and we had to kind of take him downstairs. We ended up just taking him. A friend of ours took him to the hospital because to get an ambulance to our funny little road would have been taken longer than just taking him ourselves. And it wasn't like he had any injuries we needed to worry about as far as that, for kind of lifting him into the car and all that. So swoop, we were rushed off. He was rushed off by ambulance to this other hospital. We're in Cyprus, so it was all very different, and we weren't like registered with the health system here. And my husband was trying to get things organized at home, and we, Wesley, my older son, and another friend of ours had gone in, and then we all ended up going to the city where he had been rushed off to hospital. So that was where it was so far. I phoned a few friends to get them to pray, and filled in some forms and whatever we did, and we went to this other hospital we'd never been to before. We haven't really been to hospitals here, and there I went into the reception. Of course, we have COVID time, so you had to kind of line up a little, socially distant. One parent can come in and visit. So the first thing I learned about this, besides getting my temperature taken to make sure I was okay right then, and I had to get a COVID test later, but the receptionist person said to me, I said, my son has been taken by ambulance here and I need to go see him. And she said, is the baby alone? I said, well, he's taller than me. He's not really a baby. And she said, is the baby alone? She repeated to me. And I said, well, yes. There's doctors and nurses around him, but no. So what she meant was, is there a family member with your child already? And so off I went. She let me in, took my temperature, and it's very big, wide open spaces kind of hospital. And of course, with everything happened with the pandemic, it felt very big and empty. And I had to kind of find my own way. It was really weird, to this ward where I figured out he was, and that was the ICU ward. And so I went up to this place and I sat outside the door. There's a little chapel there. It was very interesting. And there was another family there who were really frantic over a very small baby. And finally I got let in, and I talked to somebody there. There was another mom there. The little waiting room I had to go into until I could go see David. And I met this really lovely lady who had a child there who was in ICU as well. And she said to me that in Cyprus, all the children are called babies. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you're the baby. And the word is moro. So my moro was indeed alone and needed me. And I thought that was very sweet. And he was a very precious baby. So I went in there when I was called, and he was still unconscious. They had him hooked up to a bunch of stuff. And we were told to get stuff ready for the next day. Was that already then? Anyway, no, sorry. He was going to be in overnight. Spent some time with him and talked to some doctors, and they said it's not to feel guilty. One of the main things they said, not to feel guilty as parents, because we had no idea what it was. And he said teenagers often don't talk about stuff like this, because there will have been things that we know about, like drinking lots and lots of water and going to the toilet a lot and blurred vision, all those things we wouldn't have known about and he wouldn't have told us about. And so not to feel guilty, which was really, really helpful. So we spent time with him until we couldn't, or it was just me. And then my husband and older son drove me home, and we waited till the next day. I did get some information, got some phone numbers from that ICU place, so we could call them whenever we wanted to, and we would come in the next day. So we went home, and I mean, for me, I just knew he would be okay, but it was quite hard, and I had a few things. I had Greek class in the evening online. I did that. Meanwhile, a friend of ours generously offered us to use his flat in the city, which was really good because we're like 45 minutes to an hour away from where that hospital is in this home, our home. So we got ready the next morning to go and see him again and pack our stuff and go to the hospital again to see our baby and take care of him as best we could. So that was the first part of my story. And as you see, I am through it, but I thought I'll give you little glimpses into the kind of saga. So that is the first kind of day and how it happened. And spoiler, we are home and our son is home. So that is good, and we have lots to be thankful for. But I'm just going to go through this with you and see how it goes. So please know that I'm not trying to like burden you with horrible stories, but there's difficult stuff in this and good stuff. And the little point of happiness there, and I thought was lovely, was he's my baby, and it's just a real honoring of how close that bond is between parents and children, and how precious they are to us. So I hope you have a very nice day and that you enjoyed my spot of positivity today.